Today I will be showing you rabbits that live in Monken Hadley Common. This is very interesting because they are only found in a very small area of the place. I also find much more along the way, so watch the whole video to find out how I found them. Just a little update on stuff going on. The screen recorder has randomly stopped working, and since then it still isn't working. Now I have absolutely no idea why this is happening. This is absolutely terrible news because it means I can't do any more sound effects or music in my videos. So I'll just have to use the ones that I did before it stopped working. So hopefully I can somehow get out of the way, but for now, the only way of doing it, for now, I just think I'm just going to do a factory reset, to be honest. I think that's the only way. Sitting upon a fallen reed in a wetland, I saw a flea beetle. Now, it makes sense for their name, because if you poke them or touch them or something happens, they can jump, just like fleas, which is where they get their name. They also have this beautiful bright blue shiny coat, which makes them look like a jewel, and also their wing cases are reflective. On this non-native Australian eucalyptus tree, there was a little speckled wood butterfly. I am very familiar with them, and this one flew off. As I was walking through the grassland, I spotted something on the ground. That thing just so happened to be something known as a nursery web spider. Now, these are really common in my garden. I see them everywhere, along leaves, and they're called nursery web spiders because they make little nurseries out of webs for their baby spiders. It makes sense, doesn't it? As I came out of the woodland and came into the field, I noticed that there were a lot of these Batman hoverflies. Believe it or not, but this is actually named after Batman. Yes, the little signal on the thorax kind of looks like the Batman logo if you watch all of the cartoons. It's extremely rare for an animal to be named after a popular comic or villain, or character, or book, or movie. To be honest, I don't really care about all of this stuff, but what I do care is what this is. I believe this is some kind of weevil, but I'm not really sure. The beetle that you're seeing crawl up on this little flower right here is known as a red-tipped flower beetle, also known as a malachite beetle. These are pretty common, but to be honest, this is the first time I've ever seen one. Then I saw something scuttling through the grass. It was a ground crab spider, and they're called crab spiders specifically because of the pincers that they usually have splayed out like crabs. Then I went to a wetland area where I found this species of cranefly I can just not identify at all. I don't know what species this is. I've looked on Google Lens, none of the matches are exact. I've looked on Google, I've looked everywhere. I can't find what this cranefly species is! Under this log there was a rustic wolf spider, and it was carrying an egg sack full of its little babies. On a beautifully coloured yellow iris, I saw these little weevils. And these are violet weevils, also known as iris weevils, which in this scenario makes sense because they are on a iris, the yellow iris, and they were really funny because they were crawling over each other. At first I thought they were trying to mate, but no, they are just really clumsy and are just walking over each other. Later on, I went to the place in Monken Hadley Common, which I knew for a fact there were rabbits. And it didn't take me long at all before I spotted my first rabbit. And this one was basically right where I was walking on the pathway. The rabbits often like going in and out of the brambles and the gorse. And when people are hidden from their eyes, they go to graze on the grass. Then I found another rabbit, but this time, close to where I found the original rabbit, I found its baby, sitting right next to it. This was an adorable experience, as I had definitely never seen a rabbit before in the wild. Now, this was never told in any of the websites I could find, but I will say the north of Monken Hadley Common is dominated by heath plants, because not only there are heathy plants where there's stuff like gorse and heather, but also the soil is sandy, which is very famous for being in heathlands. Now, does this mean that there was once a heathland there in Monken Hadley Common? There could be. And it is so sad to see it being completely destroyed. Well, that's probably what most likely happened. Anyways, underneath this branch, there was a grey-haired mining bee, a species of mining bee I've always wanted to see. However, I haven't gotten that good footage of it, but still I found one. Believe it or not, but rabbits are not native to the UK. They are actually native to Central Europe. In the 1st century, they were introduced for food, livestock, and exotic pets. Then later on in the 12th century, Normans introduced them to England again with much more this time, and they had them for meat and fur, which eventually allowed them to escape and establish wild populations. And then in the 19th century, the population skyrocketed to 100 million and are now considered an agricultural pest. But then a disease killed a bunch of them, which lowered their population, but then they still became a popular animal of the British countryside. And now back to documenting about the rabbits, and now we have this rabbit which was nibbling on some brambles, which was really cool. The only place you're going to find the heather and gorse is where the grassy area is, where there's some really short-cut grass where people play on, and next to that area there's a big patch of gorse where there's a tiny amount of heather more towards the woodland. This rabbit right here is sitting like how my cat would bang on the door begging for food at 3 o'clock in the morning. Then later on, just before we were about to leave and head to the car, I noticed a small little bird. At first I thought it was a song thrush, but at closer inspection I noticed it was actually a missel thrush, which is a bird I've actually never seen before. At the time I wasn't really that excited because, well, I thought it was a song thrush, but now I am. But then I noticed something. It came closer and closer towards me, and it puffed up its breast right for me. It was so cute, you have to see it. Watch. Wait, I'm getting really good footage here. But for some reason my stupid self decided to film this magpie. Come on, I decided to film a magpie out of all birds instead of a flipping song thrush, and then it flew away. Then we decided to hop into the car and drive home, peacefully, quietly, listening to nature's music.
Just like the scripture in a hotel drawer, just to know what good my faith is for. My train of thought ain't making all of the stops. I'd sell that, but no one wants what I've got. What I've got. What's in a word if no one feels any blame? Who gives a no one feels any shame?
Make no mistake,